Welcome to LC Screen Talk. My name is Larry, and this is my review of Beauty and the Beast. The original 1991 Disney animated classic is, in fact, my favorite animated film of all time, regardless, Disney or otherwise. I love Beauty and the Beast. It's kind of my go-to film when I want to feel good, when I want to smile, when I want to just feel warm and fuzzy. And in saying that, I was actually really excited when I heard that they were going to do a live-action adaptation of the film for these new live-action fairy tales. The first trailer came out, I thought it was gorgeous. The second trailer came out, I got a little less excited. I wasn't so enthused with some of the character designs. And then the third trailer came out and left me pretty much at the same place. So I was coming into this film still excited, still really wanting to watch it, but with a little bit of tempered expectations. And I'm glad my expectations were tempered because it pretty much lived up to what I thought I was getting myself into. And that's a nice fairy tale film. So starting us off with the positives, this one is a shocker, but I think the Beast was actually a huge positive in this film. He was one that I just couldn't get on board with his design beforehand, but for whatever reason, I just grew to enjoy his design. I liked his face, I thought it was really expressive, and it worked really well. I think Dan Stevens, with that motion capture technology, acted really well with that. And the Beast was given a lot of emotion and a lot of dimension. Plus, I think they did a lot to flesh out the Beast as a character, more than they did in the original animation. I also think Luke Evans was fantastic. I kind of thought he was going to be fantastic from the trailers, and he lived up to all of it. I thought it was just wonderful. For the most part, I think Emma Watson was also very good. For the acting portions, she was really fantastic. I thought that she added some subtle changes into the character of Belle that worked really well, and then she just kind of encapsulated what Belle is as a Disney princess. I also think that the scale and the visuals are gorgeous, which we kind of come to expect from these Disney live-action films. If nothing else is good, you know, the costumes are going to be on point, and the special effects are going to be wonderful. And both of those ring true here. Everything just looked gorgeous. It looked perfect. And the cinematography also was just gorgeous. So everything from a visual standpoint was spot on. But overall, by the end of the film, I was swept up in the magic. I think it did a good enough job of building the romance. And I think this film actually, better than the animated film, does a good job of realizing the actual relationship and dynamic between the Beauty and the Beast. They spend more time post-wolf attack that it really kind of helps flesh out and make you understand why she falls for him and why this relationship is sparked. So that's another big positive for the film. And I like a lot of the humor they added in, because they did add quite a bit of humor. Some of it didn't land, and we're going to get a little bit more into that in the negatives, actually. But they had some really fun self-aware moments, especially with LeFou's character, and I thought those worked nicely. I also think that they really fleshed out LeFou as a character much more, so it wasn't a complete bait and switch going into the film. But again, we'll touch on that here in a second. And speaking of, additions and fleshing things out, they added several songs to the film, and it turned out a mixed bag. So Maurice, Belle's father, received a song, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice touch, and again, helped to flesh out Maurice's backstory, and I think Kevin Kline did a great job there as well. But then we get to kind of a Human Again replacement song that they added in here. Didn't work. I didn't like it. Wish they hadn't added it in. There was a reason Human Again was taken out, although I like that song much more than I liked this one, but it didn't work. And then the Beast gets a song, which worked for the most part for me. It felt very much like an Andrew Lloyd Webber addition to the movie. But again, Dan Stevens sounded gorgeous. Like, he has a really great voice. I was glad they gave him a chance to use it. And I think they added one more, but it was so forgettable and it was so like, oh, no thanks, that we can't even touch on it, that I wasn't impressed. So jumping into the outright negatives. As much as I love these actors, some of them just didn't do it for me when it came to the voice acting. The first of which really pains me, but it was Emma Thompson. And I think it's because she was putting on this really strange accent throughout, and she was so animated with the accent. It never came across genuine. It never was just like warm and welcoming like Angela Lansbury's voice was. So I don't know. I don't know what she was doing. I think when she was a human in the film, it was much better. And I think for whatever reason that translated, but her voice work just, it didn't work. I'm sorry, Emma, I still love you. And kind of the same thing with Ewan McGregor. That accent just never settled in. He was really cartoony, really hamming it up the entire time. And I was never able to buy into Lumiere as a character and as an actual thing. It just felt so cartoonish to me. However, again, his singing voice is fantastic, and he sounded great in Be Our Guest. But delving a little bit further into Be Our Guest, they made some changes to add in comedy that didn't work for me. I just didn't like it. I wish they would have kept it grand, because they got there. By the end, they were on full-blown grand dinner mode. But they added really clunky, weird things into the middle that didn't work out. And I think they added a little bit too much humor. Like, I think we were in these beautifully romantic moments, you were getting swept away, and then they would add a humorous moment in, and it's like, oh, I think that was mistimed. Now I've talked about Dan Stevens, and I've talked about Ewan McGregor, and what great singers they were. Unfortunately, Emma Watson does not fall in that camp. They had to use quite a bit of auto-tune with Emma Watson, and it was very apparent. Like, you could hear the auto-tune. She just never really meshed with the voices around her. When you have people like Audra McDonald belting it out and sounding gorgeous, I mean, it doesn't sound right when you have somebody who has an okay at best voice and then has auto-tune to kind of help them keep up. And it was really apparent in songs like Belle, because they cast really good singers as the chorus and as those random townspeople. And they weren't auto-tuned, but then you could hear it. I mean, it was really evident. So, it wasn't horrible, it was serviceable, but it definitely was noticeable that there was auto-tune in there, and it kind of distracted me. They also added in a lot of sub-marriages and romances, like Stanley Tucci's character and Audra McDonald's character. It wasn't needed. Like, it really wasn't needed. We saw people meeting up at the end that didn't make sense, because it's like, oh, if one of you lived here, then why did the other one live in the town? Why was your memory? What? I don't want to give spoilers away, so I'm going to leave it at that jumbled mess, but it just kind of was like, oh, did we really need to connect these dots? I don't think so. And then let's get to LeFou. So he's a mixed bag for me. Just a heads up, I'll be putting out a full video about LeFou, the controversy, and what I have to say about all of that deal. But I do commend Disney for going with some of the choices they decided to go with in this film. And I think Josh Gad added some great, like, fourth wall breaking, really self-aware comedy in here that I thought worked wonderfully. However, Josh Gad also played LeFou very flamboyant. They talked about having an explicitly gay moment in the film, but let me just tell you, he was way more gay in every other aspect other than that one explicitly gay moment. And I'm going to just tell you in general, this movie is probably the gayest movie Disney has ever done. So just know that going in, whether the actual moment disappoints or not, this movie is, yeah. I mean, I thought I saw a rainbow behind the Disney castle at the beginning. That's how gay this movie was. From the Beast to Gaston to LeFou, everybody across the board seemed to have a gay moment in the film. And I'm just going to point out, I think Gaston did more than just lead LeFou on. Anybody else tell me if you get that? The evidence is in the Gaston musical number. So comment below if you catch it. So overall, I enjoyed myself. I don't think it's the best of the Disney live action fairy tales. I don't think it's a masterpiece. But I think it's a really solid film. Plus, I saw this in 3D RPX at a Regal Cinemas, and I think the 3D is definitely worth it. The visuals are gorgeous. So for just the scale of it and the grandeur that it presents, I think it's definitely worth paying the premium price ticket. And I think you and your family will have a very nice time if you go and see Beauty and the Beast this weekend. So I have to give it a full ticket recommendation. So, that has been my review of Beauty and the Beast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead, click like down below, and subscribe to the channel so you are always up to date on our latest videos. Also, join in on the discussion. Are you excited to see Beauty and the Beast? And what is your favorite of the live-action fairy tales? Let me know either in the comment section down below or hit me up on Twitter. I love you all so much for your support. Mwah! Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!